Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to another World of Tanks replay. And today we have 23, Simmi 23, we shall call him Simmi. And he is playing the Kranvan, which is the tier 10 Swedish heavy tank. He is on, can I remember the name of the map? Cliff? That sounded confident, didn't it? Yes, it is Cliff. There we go. He is on Cliff. And some pretty nice matchmaking for a tier 10 that isn't facing tier 8s, to be fair. But there are 6 tier 10s, which means there are 9 tier 9s on each team. And interesting lineups. There are some good matchups here in terms of tanks v tanks. Kran v Kran. Superconk versus IS7, 121 versus 140, and 2 Progettos are facing off. 2 Shipmans are facing off, and an E3 and version 4 are facing off. So there's going to be some good fighting, and it's not a bad map, Cliff. Actually, it's one of the few that are actually decent. I would say you can normally fight pretty well from either side. This is an encounter, as you can see from the big. There's not even a flag there. If you look at the mini map, sorry. Down by the Skoda, in the middle of the map, there is a cap circle there. And of course, being encounter, it takes 4 minutes to cap, I believe. Not that you should necessarily cap straight away, like the Skoda is doing, but he is taking an advantageous position. Whilst Simmi here has moved up one side of the map along the 9 line, gets pinged by the PTA, must have been from up high up here and shooting down into him. The first shell went very, very wayward, but his next 2 went into the Conqueror. Now, the Kranvan has 3 shells in its magazine, which means it has actually a pretty decent reload. And I certainly would not underestimate facing a Kranvan, especially in a position like Simmi is about to take here. This is a fantastic position for a Kranvan to be hold down in. So I'm going to pause it just quickly. Where he's hold down like this, and this is pretty much all that the enemies can see of him. Well, let's say maybe that being generous. That being generous. So the hull, it's very unlikely that they'll hit it, to be fair. So what you're aiming for is the cupola here or the cupola here. And yeah, even from distances like this, around 300 meters, it's going to be very hard. First shell goes into the Leo PTA, second into the T10. He's looking for the third. The IS7 is creeping. Can he get the lower plate? Yes, he can. And all he has to do is sit here. What I would like to see is if he pointed his gun up like this, because then it actually... it's going to be hard to show it. You see round here, there's this line. That is where the turret oscillates from with the gun. So as the gun goes up, this bit will go down, which will depress these cupolas behind this bit of armor here. So maybe a little bit of weak spot management, but it is very hard for them to hit the cupolas from here, but you never know. This is World of Tanks and there is a lot of RNG. Simmi is going for the T10. He's not too worried about this I7 in front of him. The I7 is paying him no mind either. Maybe he should, because poking up that far will get him shot by Simmi. And Simmi is looking to dump his 3rd shell. He doesn't really want to move, and I don't blame him. There's no point in him doing so. And the T10 is stupid enough to keep poking out and getting shot by Simmi. Now he has to pay attention, though, and he does have to move, because the Object 140 and Progetto to his sides that are sitting in the cap are putting in some effective fire to the sides. The IS-7 dumps one into Simmi's tracks, and Simmi puts one into him. The Leo PTA is trying to run away, but is doing so on top of the hill, rather than down in the little ditch, which is, I mean, thousands and thousands of IQ. I don't understand that move, but surely he does. The enemy Emil is putting some effective aggression in on the ally Emil and forcing him backwards. The Progetto is firing heat and is putting in some very effective fire from the position he's in. And you'd think that Simmi is in a little bit of trouble here because his team isn't doing too hot. Positionally, I think the enemy is maybe taking this at the minute. But Simmi, oh, he goes for the push on the I7. The first one goes flying high as he comes over the hill. He takes one from the I7 and he's smart enough to hold his two shots. He knows the I7, one, isn't looking at him, and two, hasn't got his gun round and won't be reloaded to fire it anyway. So he was smart enough and of clear enough mind there to be able to think, I'll get around the I7, make sure that these two shells that I have count to kill him, and he does so, and he is just shy of 5,000 damage, and that is actually his first kill. And there's going to be a little bit of work if he wants to win this one. He is now 10 kills to 9 for his team, but they are around about 2,000 HP down. He is going to be very lucky to get a show on that Kranvan. I don't think the enemy Kranvan would be stupid enough to do what he's just done. And that is actually a very nice snapshot from Simmi into the enemy Kran there. And the enemy Kran was clearly a fucking mong. Why? He has really good gun depression. The Skoda wouldn't have been firing up at him. Why did he jump down to try and kill? He's a fucking idiot. Anyway, enough of ranting about the moron on the enemy Kran. We're looking at our boy Simmi, our smart boy Simmi, in this Kran right here, and watch these repositioning round to where he was previously to see if he can help with some effective supporting fire towards the E75 and Emil that are protecting the base. I think I remember seeing, whilst downloading this, because it really caught my attention, that Simmi was on. He had a phone call. He was on call with his girlfriend, who was very angry at him for some reason. I can only imagine that he's been sinking a lot of time into the game, which is why he's a good player. And you know, he's clearly not paying enough attention to her, that she got very angry. So he's actually on call with her as he is playing this game. So thinking about some of the plays that he has made and how well he's been doing, and here we go actually, he's not paying attention to the fact that the Emil is in front of him and is firing. There we go, just a little bit too late. Oh, that's actually a brilliant bait. Gets a beautiful tracking shot on the Emil, follows it up with the second, and then dumps the third into the lower plate as well, leaving the Emil on very low health. Now a one shot, and yeah, he's up to 6.6k. But that bit of being AFK, I imagine, is where he's on call to his girlfriend. And he's like, no, babe, I'm not playing. I swear. My focus is solely on you. Just low-key carrying a World of Tanks game in my Kranvan, but 100% I'm with you, babe. I may or may not have had that conversation once before as well. Sorry, Laura. Even though we're not together, but you know, whatever. Anyway, enough of that. Simmi is now moving up to support his ally in the Emil 2, which of course eventually leads up to being a Kranvan. The enemy Emil 2 has disappeared. I imagine he will go back towards the 140 and ship barn, and there we go. The WZ actually manages to kill the Emil from the back, but Simmi is a little bit wary that the T95 may well still be on the hill. But where the ship barns move up, I would be more inclined to believe that the T95 would have moved up as well. If they want to progress this game, they need to dig out that E75, because they definitely will now be aware that Simmi's ally WZ will be in the back in A5 here. So, you know, something like the ship barn just absolutely cleaning the pipes of that E75 will help do it. But I'd have thought that, you know, sending the T95 forwards would have been a pretty good idea too. But it is now a 3-on-3. Simmi's team is down 600 HP, and there we go. The T95 has been moving forwards. The enemy ship barn gets spotted by the ally Emil, and Simmi gets really, really unlucky that the second shell sailed over. He manages to put 2 of the 3 in, leaving the FV on a one-shot now for any tank on his team. But very, very unfortunate there. And just look at the reload of the Kranvan, man. He's already reloaded and ready to clip out again. Just shy of 7,500 damage. And there's still 3.4 available. Possible 10k. Possible 10k. He's not quite got the health to trade effectively with the T95 if he was to get aggressive. He is going to try and come out wide, which I think is actually quite a nice idea because he needs an angle on the 140. But he needs to be wary of some of the crossings around through here, through this ground, like this where he gets spotted now, because there's a bit of open ground that he needs to be careful of. But once he is through it, there is some very effective hold down positions for him to possibly take and buildings to use. And this is the exact place I thought he was going to go. There's 1, there is 2, and there is the 3rd into the ship barn. He was very, very wary that that ship barn would be looking to take him out, and knowing that he had been previously spotted coming into this position, he knew that the FE would be pointing this way. The T95, however, does not want to turn his attention away from the ML2. And Simmi isn't quite able to spot him, but he gets spotted himself. The 140 manages to put in a shot. I imagine he will be hiding behind the corpse of the dead ML2 in the cap. Simmi needs to be a little bit careful with how he's pushing, but the ML2 is going to move up, I believe. Yes, that is good, that is good. And the T95 is actually now turning towards Simmi, and the ML2 on Simmi's team should be able to put some effective fire in. Simmi being very careful not to overpoke for that Object 140. Luckily, he can only shoot this outside drive wheel of Simmi's tracks. And the T95 is just pressing W. He's fired, but Simmi decides he wants to reload the heat, which might not be a bad idea to go through the front of a T95, but it was a little bit unfortunate with the timing, I would say. The Object 140 on the enemy team is putting up a very good fight. He's put the Emil down to a one-shot now, and the T95 could be inclined to turn, but he is definitely not. He is now solely focused on Simmi, and Simmi is going for the cupolas. Unlucky to miss that one there. The T95 is making some effective ground up here, and he needs to be careful. Simmi is now moving for the shot on the 140. Manages to get it. And the 140 is stupid enough to poke out in front of a tank with a magazine and gun as effective as the Kranvan. And boom! The ally WZ was able to get a shot into the T95 and set him on fire to kill him. Which is a little bit unlucky, because Simmi needed 600 damage to get his 10k, and 600 damage just disappeared in flames in front of him, which was very, very unfortunate. But 9.5k damage, 4 kills. I'd say that's a pretty nice carry in a Kranvan. That's a pretty nice carry in any tank, really. But the Kranvan is a bit of a favourite for people at the minute as well. It's been top of the tree recently, I believe. But yes, that is very much how you play a Kranvan, and how you play the game as well. That was very good, effective movement, I would say, up and down this 9 line to help aid his team as a heavy tank. He certainly did his job well. And yeah, I mean, I would say very unlucky with at least 2 shots. The very first shot he fired that sailed to Narnia, and then that second shot that he was put in at the ship barn that flew just over its head. I'd say they were quite unfortunate. And there were a few on the T95 that could have hit the cupola. But yeah, very, very unfortunate not to get 10k. I think this game is one of the few that I've seen that is very much deserving 10k that didn't get it. The other one that springs to mind is Trev in the Chieftain, actually. But yes, Simmi, absolutely brilliantly played, especially given you had an angry girlfriend on the other end of your phone. Absolutely fantastically played, and I hope that you all have enjoyed watching it as well. And yeah, we will see what tomorrow's replay has in store for us. But for now, I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.